Hey everyone, it's Jensen again. I've got a few rants topics I want to discuss. First and foremost, cause I was going to start with something else and I'll get to it, but I had the IFK Göteborg game on, and man, are they just dreadful. They got slaughtered by Hammarby 3-0, and it was just embarrassing and hard to watch. So my first thing I wanted to talk about is a little soccer strategy, because obviously IFK Göteborg, they've got a talent discrepancy. So this is going to go for any soccer team you want to talk about. But the way I see it, you've got two ways to win when you've got a discrepancy. One, you've got to go young, and because you've got your talent that you've got, but what I think they should do, and what I think a lot of teams in this situation should do, is you go young and you go fast and you press. And like, no matter where you are on the field, you're just constantly pressing, trying to create havoc out there. That's my preferred. Maybe I'm dumb. There's obviously a lot better soccer strategy people out there than I am, but that's what I think I would do. I go get young, get all your youth out there, and just run them like crazy, and try and exhaust, try and get the other team to make a mistake, because obviously you don't have the skill as of yet to win. The other strategy is to just hunker down, like play 5 in the back, and then occasionally run a counter. And that method has been used. It's been won. Greece won the 2004 Euros running that strategy, just winning every game 1-0 and just hunkering down. The problem with that, I feel, is that, if you ever give up one goal, you're basically done. Because then your entire strategy is out the window, because you have to then go and equalize. Whereas I like the strategy where you're just running and constantly pressing, and you might give up more goals that way, but I think you'll actually end up creating more opportunities in the long run. So put four back, and just maybe even just one person up, and then all the rest in the midfield, and just press. And so if the people from Göteborg are listening to me, that's what I think they should do. And that's what I think most teams that are lacking in talent should do when it comes to soccer. I think Leeds is a good example. Now, Leeds obviously has more talent than a lot of other teams, but they're not as talented as the big guys in the Premier League. And yet, you gotta love what they do. They go down like 4-0 and they're still pressing. They're still sprinting up the field. There's no quit in them. And so it's an entertaining style. It leads to guys getting opportunities to score, and I think it gives you a better chance to win. Especially, if you're just going to have like the same strategy, like 4-4-2 or whatnot, and you're just trying to have possession in the middle, build to an attack, and you don't have the skill guys to actually ever get a good cross in or make any creative runs to get behind the defense, you're not doing anything anyways. You're not going to score that ways, which is exactly what happened today in the IFK game. It was so embarrassing. It was hard to watch. Granted, I wasn't watching much of it, but I did have it on. But it was brutal. Anyways, so hopefully they can turn things around and not get relegated. Anyways, the other thing I was going to rant about a little bit before I get to what's coming up is the NBA is just pathetic. I like basketball. It's not my favorite sport, but I do like it. I like playing it and whatnot. But there is not a league I think it's set up that way since it's only 5-on-5, so star players have more. But there's not a league with more prima donnas and just pansies and people that think they are just the greatest thing on the earth. It's just so annoying. And so when sports people are covering the NBA, it's just awful. I mean, we've got the Ben Simmons situation in Philadelphia. Oh, I don't know if they like me, so I'm going to sit out. Why don't you just play the game? They're paying you millions of dollars. Just go play. When the contract is up, then go where you want to go. You've signed someplace. Just do it. And I know every sport has it. It's just magnified in the NBA because there's so few people on the floor at a time, I feel. And so they get more of a say and they have more power and they just are awful. And it goes like around the board, like with all the players. And the Lakers, most of all, with LeBron James. I mean, is there a bigger whiner in all of sports than LeBron James? Pick your other basketball player and you've got him, I guess. They're all equally just almost insufferable. Anyway, so that's my little rant there on the NBA and how I can't stand the coverage on it. I mean, I don't care what Doc Rivers said or didn't say. I don't care what Ben Simmons said. I don't care what what all the different people, what their political views are. And they think that they just are the greatest thing to ever walk the earth, and they're not. And obviously you coming to me realize that I am the greatest thing ever, which is why you're listening to me. No, not really. Although I do have the best taste and my opinions are always right, unless they're not, but they're not. Anyways, on to this week. First, in case you haven't heard, Jackson Dart, the star of the last game, the freshman of the week, offensive player of the week in the Pac-12, almost threw for 400 yards and torched Washington State. Well, he has a meniscus tear, had surgery earlier this week. He's not going to be playing in the game, which I think is okay. I think Keaton Slovis was going to get the start anyways, regardless. But hopefully Jackson Dart can get back quickly because I liked what he had. He had good energy. I liked him. So I'm going to just quickly run down a few of these college football games. We've got Notre Dame at Wisconsin. Give me the Badgers. Probably pretty big. I don't think Notre Dame is good. Boise State, Utah State. This is a sneaky game because Utah State is actually undefeated and they've beaten some good people. Boise State's had a tough schedule so far and lost a couple close ones. I think Boise State's gonna pull the game out and win that one. We've got Washington State, Utah, and a pair of dumpster fire teams in the Pac-12. I think Washington State's going to win. I just think Utah is in a downward spiral. They've lost their starting QB who transferred away now. Maybe that'll turn things around for them, but I mean, it's one dumpster fire versus another dumpster fire. Give me the Cougs. Texas A&M, Arkansas in Texas at the Cowboy Stadium, whatever that's called, the house that Jerry built. I think Arkansas is going to win. I don't think Texas A&M is all that good. Rutgers, Michigan, a pair of undefeated teams. Michigan is going to roll them. Michigan's going to obliterate them. We've got, this is one of the most interesting games. UCLA and Stanford. Because, what is Stanford? Are they any good? Is UCLA going to bounce back? And I think it'll be actually a close game. Like I said last week, I don't think UCLA was as good as people thought they were. I don't know what to think of Stanford. I don't think they're good. So I think UCLA is going to win this game, but I think it'll be close. We have Tennessee and Florida. I hope Tennessee wins. They're not going to, though. Florida's going to crush them. We've got Nebraska and Michigan State. Michigan State's undefeated early. And I think Nebraska's going to win on the road. I think they did pretty good. We've got Kansas State and Oklahoma State in a pair of undefeated Big 12 teams. And I like Kansas State to win that one. I think they're setting themselves up to rival Oklahoma, who I don't think is as good as a lot of people think they are. And then we've got an interesting game, Cal up in the Pac-12 North, Cal Washington. Whoever loses this is completely out of it and done. I don't think Cal is any good at all, and I think Washington's going to end up winning it. And yes, I am at a park at football practice, and there's lots of noise, so whatever. Then two last games, Colorado, Arizona State. I don't think Colorado has any offense at all. They're not going to be able to score. So Arizona State, although BYU, that game was against BYU. They had their chances, but Arizona State's going to come back. They're going to beat Colorado. It's going to be a 3-team race, I think, in the South between Arizona State, USC, UCLA. And I think Arizona State is the bottom of those 3. And then the last game, of course, is going to be Oregon State and USC. As I said, USC won't have Jackson Dart. That means Keaton Slovis, who's been practicing all week, he's going to be good to go. I don't know what game plan that USC is going to have. They've been running it pretty well the first 2 weeks, and then couldn't do anything against Washington State, and the offensive line looked really shaky against Washington State. So I think they're going to just have to do sort of like what they did last week. Open it up, YOLO raid, you only live once. Just chuck it down the field. And I think it's going to be really close, though, the entire game. I think Oregon State's actually pretty good. They haven't played anyone. I mean, the hardest team they played was Purdue, and Purdue beat them. But I think they're an improving team. They're not as good as USC, but they're going to keep it close. I think USC is going to drop back down a little bit. It won't look like that second half against Washington State, but I think they'll get enough to win it, probably by a field goal or 3 to 6 points, right in there. I think probably in the 30s, and but hopefully USC continues to just chuck it down the field and dominate the game. Well, those were my rants and my predictions and thoughts this next week. And again, I think USC just needs to chuck it down the field. Just make Oregon State stop the pass. And press in soccer, press. Just get young guys out there. Run and run and run and run and run. Anyways, that's all. Fight on. Hopefully USC wins, and we'll talk to you later. Have a good.